everyone, I Exalt here and I'm back with a new Mass Effect Andromeda video. This time I'm bringing you the first Platinum solo with the Angara Avenger. This is the first on the channel. So this is the build I used. I spec'd all my points in Sticky Grenades, Stealth Grid, Avenger Strike, Weapon Training up to rank 5 or Apex Training, and 1 point in Bioelectric Defense to have more survivability. I used the Kishak output gun. This is my favorite sniper rifle, as well as the Slash, though I don't really use it, as you will tell. And this is a guiding video, guiding Platinum video, which means that I'm going to give you advice about how to solo Platinum with this formidable character. This is the best character to solo Platinum, in fact, better than the Asari Huntress. This is not live commentary, and you will understand why in a moment. In fact, this is guiding Platinum, and this is also how to solo not only with the Angara Avenger against the Outlaw faction. This is also a guide on how to solo Platinum with a non-cooperating computer. Because this was basically my case, and you will see that in the gameplay in many instances. This is the reason why I did not include live commentary for this one. You'll see in some sections of the video how crazy I can get. I'm sorry about this. Sometimes you'll find me in situations where I give the impression that I'm playing like a noob, sending sticky grenades in areas where there is no enemy at all. This is completely stupid, but it's like, my computer with my keyboard, most especially my keyboard, was unfortunately very laggy. So basically what happened was that every time I was typing on my keyboard, in certain situations, though not all the time, but mostly when there are big enemies on the field, so waves 5 and wave 6 were notably difficult because of the Hydras, which is very frustrating, by the way. You'll see I have a couple of deaths which I think are completely unfair. It's like, my computer hates me. And this is not the first time that happens to me. It happens to me a lot, even in team gameplay. No matter what I do, it's because I use a wireless keyboard as well as a wireless mouse. And sometimes the keyboard won't work, sometimes the mouse won't work. It's very frustrating. I have to, work on my hardware because this is getting ridiculous. Anyway, so this is a guide. I'm not going to complain about my computer. Just know that, it might be laggy for you throughout waves 4, 5, 6, and 7, because there are many enemies on the field, and these are big enemies, and that's it. So the first wave went very well, because basically what you have to do is to try to reach the wave budget as quickly as possible by killing all the berserkers. The only enemies you will have to fight against would be arses and observers. And in this instance, I got devices, so why not? It's interesting because on wave 2 you have arses, and by the moment I saw where the device spawned, and I also noticed that the red spots, in the orientation bar at the top of the screen, I saw that there was an enemy spawn near the first device. I told myself, well, 50-50 chance that this is a spawn AD in it, and yeah, well, I was right, but that went pretty well. Also, you might notice that I have only 2 Cobra RPGs. Oh, well, I forgot to buy some before I started the match, but I did not really need them because basically I had a very strong weapon, the Kishak sniper rifle. It's a very strong weapon, and thanks to the build that I'm using, it's working pretty well. You'll see how you can headshot berserkers even though they have much armor left.
All enemy devices shut down. Good job.
And in this instance, for example, I killed the Addy, but I was aiming at the berserker. And this is why, you know, it can be really funny sometimes to play with this gun. You might have a few surprises, especially when you play with a laggy computer. So for the devices, the only enemy you really have to care for are the Addy and the berserkers also, because they can prevent you from doing your work. As far as retrieve is concerned, the Hydra is the first enemy you want to look for. If you have a hack or upload, you can try to kill all the berserkers and the Hydras because they won't respawn, but by the time you do that, well, you won't have much time left for the objective. You see, I fell out of the map just because my computer was not working. I really don't know why. It's very frustrating because you have like 3 berserkers right in front of you screaming at you, and the only thing you want is to get rid of them, right? And you spam the sticky grenades and nothing happens. It's like, you know, the keyboard is taking its time. It's like your computer doesn't want to help you achieving what you want to do. It's very frustrating. I said my computer hated me. This is what my DAW did one day, because you might probably know that, you know, I'm a musician as well. So I play music with a DAW, and the DAW that I use operates on a very specific audio system. And this audio system has a version V1 and V2, and the second version does not work with my computer, and the only help I get from the DAW is, well, your computer might probably hate you. And yeah, I think so sometimes, you know. It's like anytime I try to solo something, you know, with a non-infiltrator character, it usually goes very well for the first waves, and as soon as I reach wave 6, I tend to have objectives like, I don't know, upload. So even hack could be interesting, you know, because you could try, you know, hold the position, not against the outlaws. This is just insanity. There are so many berserkers. But anyway. And the only other objective you might have would be boss enemies, which means that you will have to deal with 4 berserkers at the same time. So try, you know, to be very cautious. I mean, this is a great character. See how I use it to move around the map. She has a great survivability for the simple reason that she can escape any situation using Avenger Strike and aspect point up to rank 6. Usually what I do with the Avenger is basically that I don't put points into fitness at all. She has great survivability, but in the end, well, using this build instead of the other one, the one I've just described, it gives me a very tiny, whiny percentage of health, of extra health and shields. And I can clearly see the difference because the Avenger is, like many soloists, the first character I used for my to discover Platinum, in fact. And just, you know, to get to know the waves, the wave system, the wave budgets, the enemies in the way on the wave, etc., and so on and so forth. I use the Avenger and the Turian agent for their powers. The Avenger especially because I want to see how many enemies of a certain type you can kill in a wave. For example, 6 berserkers on wave 1 or 9 berserkers on wave 2 and 3 hydras on wave 2. Yeah, that's what I do, and the Turian agent is more for, you know, see how the spawns work using the recon vision. And in this precise build, what I did was that, yeah, instead of putting points into apex training, weapon damage, I preferred giving me extra health and extra shields. Especially because, well, as you can see, I'm always using stealth grid. I don't want to be visible, That makes things easier. That doesn't mean you are invisible, of course, especially with observers or hydras as well. They can be really unfair. I think there is one instance in this video when you can clearly see that the hydra was, I don't know, a little bit overpowered. There again, my keyboard was completely messing with me. It was, I did not want to use Avenger Strike against the Hydra. And at some point you'll see when the Ascendant comes in, I think it's wave 6, the Ascendant comes to me and tries to grab me. My keyboard was not working. This was really, really frustrating. You can't imagine how, you know, I was screaming in my head very loud, like, anyway, sorry, I can't say, you know, swear words, so, well, I could, but I'm not doing that. So, I almost died there, but thanks to extra health and shields, well, I managed to survive as a result of a health gate. And if I use the key shotgun, it's because it's easier to kill the enemies in one shot. And I do that with a lot of enemies. Saboteurs, for example, can be killed in one shot, distant as well, and sometimes anointed as well. I think you can see that in the gameplay. As well as observers. Observers can be killed in one shot using the Kishuk. So that's why, you know, if you use a weapon like the pole with this girl, I don't think this is as effective as if you used a very powerful sniper rifle, and especially the Kishuk, because it deals DOT, damage over time. The third wave is not the most difficult because you have only 2 berserkers left and you can clearly see the difference on the field. You have many enemies. 12, well, the Outlaw faction is the one with the highest number of enemies on the field. And again, the point is to get rid of the wave budget as quick as possible. But, you know, do not underestimate the power of your sniper rifle. What it can do is really, really extraordinary, especially using the damage bonus of Stealth Grid. 50% of a very high damage score in one shot. I mean, this is why the Kishuk is the best choice if you want to solo as easily as possible the Outlaw faction on Platinum, well, any faction really. But the Outlaw faction has a higher number of armored enemy on the field, especially because you have berserkers and hydras in every single wave. How interesting. And even if you can't kill an enemy like, you know, like the sharpshooter resisted my shot right now, well, DOT will take care of this. This is why I like this gun so much, and I even use the scope to see if the ammunition boxes refilled or if they are still empty. So wave 4, I had boss objective, which meant that I had to deal with a Hydra, the Blaze Hydra, and all the bosses you have to kill are armored enemies. First thing, I got rid of the shields because the saboteur stole my shields, so one shot with the Kishuk to get rid of her shield. And then I threw a couple of sticky grenades, though my computer was lagging again, you can clearly see that. I throw sticky grenades in directions where there are no enemies. It's ridiculous, and even in this precise situation, this was a mess really, and I managed to get rid of this berserkers by, you know, first spamming my sticky grenades, but also by using headshot bonus damage, stealth grid bonus damage, and a very, very powerful gun. So this is Blaze Hydra. There it is. First thing, I wanted blind, so I threw all my sticky grenades to deal some damage to it. So that if I wanted to make it blind, it would be easier. Now you see I threw a sticky grenade and the Hydra shot me in the back. This is the kind of situation where I found myself in when the keyboard was not responding anymore or was very laggy. I didn't even use one single missile to kill this Blaze Hydra because it's an armored enemy, and armored enemy are really weak against sticky grenade. And if you use a very strong weapon with damage bonus like stealth grid or any other bonuses really, then you can get rid of any enemy in a very short amount of time. The only problem with the Outlaw faction is that you tend to get overrun, and I think this is the purpose really. But starting with wave 4, you don't have any observer anymore. These were in wave 3, the last observers you had to kill. And you won't have any remnants really. You see, well, not really impressive. This saboteur was almost dead, but anytime I want to shoot, I use stealth grid first. I said shoot, but also use grenades for damage bonus. And because you are so relying on your grenades, because stealth grid works like grenades, you have to keep track of all the ammunition boxes and how you use them. In this video, I was very liberal with my grenades. Usually what I try to do is that because any ammo box is supposed to give you 4 grenades, then what I try to do is to always have the same amount of stealth grid and sticky grenades, so that when I refill it, especially three left. If I have 3 left, then I'm going to head towards an ammo box so that I can refill it up to 7. I use the grenade capacity as gear. And sometimes I even use consumable because there is no consumable for this match. And once you've got rid of all the berserkers, you'll notice that the rest is not as difficult as the berserkers. It's really the berserkers that will, give the rhythm, the gameplay dynamics against the Outlaw faction on Platinum. They are what makes the Outlaw faction tough, really, because the rest is not as difficult as berserkers. And now the 5th wave. So you're gonna see how much difficult things got for me because of my laggy keyboard. Especially because the first spawn point I got to was a point where there was 1 Hydra, and this is enough to make my computer laggy. So here I am, trying to bunny jump like I'm a rabbit. It's ridiculous, and you'll see this is the wave when I used for the first time my revive pack in this match. Again, in this situation, I was trying to escape from the saboteur, and instead I, dashed where all the enemies were. And sometimes the Hydra would try to shoot me with its missiles. And I would stay exactly where I am because my computer finds it funny to turn me into a sitting duck when the situation gets really bad. Wave 5 is tough because most of the enemies are elite enemies with purple nameplates like Elite Berserkers, Elite Hydra. Well, for this Hydra, this death was valid. I did not check the spawn point. I admit this was one mistake I did. I should have focused on where the Hydra I just killed was going to respawn, and I didn't do that. So this death was legitimate, I agree with you. So yeah, you can die even if you can be invisible and move around the map very rapidly. You see, I just killed the Berserker with one shot, and the Berserker had some armor left, not like a low amount, but rather like a good amount of health remaining. You can do astonishing thing with all the bonuses that the Avenger can have. Especially when the Berserker enters Blood Rage. This is the best moment for headshots. So you'll notice that Berserkers enter Blood Rage whenever they do their raw thing. Whenever they start growling, it means Blood Rage, which means that they regenerate a very tiny amount of health compared to Behemoth. This is really tiny. And that they are probably going to charge you, depending on the amount of health they have remaining. So here the Berserkers were just standing still, so perfect moment for headshots. But I was really trying to be as safe as possible because I did not want to lose as a result of my keyboard not working properly. This is really unfair. In fact, the only shielded enemy you have to deal with in this wave is the Anointed, and you have a couple of them running around the map. Usually they will try to go on the roof, as the sharpshooters usually do. Because, well, shooting you from afar is a specialty that the Anointed has sometimes. It can be really physical, close combat style, but it can also be like a sharpshooter shooting you from long distances, and they can destroy you really rapidly. By keeping the enemy stunned, I can, do whatever I want to do with them. So I can melee them, as I just did with the Saboteur. But I can also take my time to prepare my headshot. Another example of how my computer was very laggy, I threw a sticky grenade where there was no enemy. How ridiculous, really. And whenever the Hydra was showing up, the computer would do the same thing, It was not cooperating. Damn it. Like System Shock all over again. running around the map is the best strategy you can have whenever you have to solo platinum with any character, really. You can't always hold a position. It's not always feasible, especially with the Outlaws and the Berserkers. So what you wanted to do is to play with verticality all the time, because the enemies need time, to get up and down, the Hydras, so that then you can focus on the enemies that are chasing after you more rapidly than the others, like Berserkers or Anointed. And if you see an Anointed or Sharpshooter while you are escaping, just look around. If there is no enemy, then you can kill them, as long as you are careful. The Outlaw also have the particularities that they have destined only in Wave 3. Another example of how this death was not legitimate. Sorry guys. My keyboard was not working at this precise moment, and I was standing still like a sitting duck. And I died miserably. I mean, this was obvious, wasn't it? Another example of how the keyboard was laggy. If you see me going crazy as I just did, it means that my computer is going mad. My keyboard will not cooperate with me. And the character was also so sluggish, Sometimes I sprint and my character just freezes. This is a good time to have a cup of coffee. Dear me. So, of course, I have my other gun, the Slash, but as you can see, I never use it. I will, I think, use it on one occasion. But even if it takes more time to kill the enemies, because you have to recharge after every single shot, the key shock is the best, the weapon I prefer to use the most. The Slash is good if you are in cover and you're shooting the enemy from cover. But it's not always the best solution you can have. Yeah, I like one-shot miss. Like the harpoon going right above the head of the Anointed, so funny. So there was one enemy left on the field, two enemies left, sorry. Two sharpshooters, so I meted this one to death. Just because I could, my keyboard was no longer laggy, so I could celebrate. And then I looked for ammunition and especially grenades. So that, the ammo boxes can refill at the beginning of next wave, and then I can simply, my stock is already full. And for the last objective, I got retrieval. So retrieval can be really difficult if you have Hydras on the field, which is the case with the Outlaws, and I knew that. Especially because you have two Hydras, and one of them is the Blaze Hydra, which means it is faster, and the moment it sees you, it can kill you in a blink. So at this precise moment, I was trying to head towards the LZ, but because of the Hydra, my computer was so laggy, I told myself, well, I'm going to fail this solo just because my keyboard does not want to work. I'm sorry I keep on complaining, but this is like so frustrating sometimes. Right now, it just froze in front of this Addy, you know? This is so ridiculous. I mean, I couldn't do anything. The Addy grabbed me, and, you know, you see that I spammed a stealth grid because I was, you know, furious against my keyboard. Like, what are you doing? Why are you plotting against me all the time? Come on.
Artifact is secure.
Give me a rest. So fitness, as you can see, is not very useful. I know that bioelectric defense is great, is a great ability, a passive ability, especially in team gameplay. Well, this death was legitimate, I agree with you. The Hydra, I told you about, the Blaze Hydra, the moment it sees you, it can kill you in a blink. This is not a joke, so be really careful because, you know, as you know, the objects will respawn where you took it. In my case, I was lucky because I got killed a few meters from the object, but you know, you never know.
Almost done.
I remember some team, you know, matches, or private lobby, or you know, pugs, when I just, you know, got killed at the very last moment as a result of a Hydra. In this instance, yeah, I knew my keyboard was going again laggy, and I saw that the object had spawned in the little room where there were the two berserkers, probably one Hydra, probably the two of them, I don't know. I told myself, no, I can't do that right now, I'm going to get killed, and I don't want to use all my revives because my keyboard will not cooperate. So what I did was that I went on the roof, and I drew the enemy there, and then I could safely grab the object and go to the LZ. If you have an enemy like a sharpshooter, an anointed on the LZ, use a Vendor Strike. You know, you'll earn a few seconds in your playthrough, so why not? My playthrough is already 30 minutes long, which is so huge, it's going to take me forever to upload, but yeah, well, upload. This term annoys you, doesn't it? Also, with this build, you can kill the Ascendant very rapidly, especially the Orb. In one shot, this is enough, really. You just have to charge the key shock a little, but you have time for that because you can be invisible. As long as you don't stay exactly where you became invisible, never do that, because it's like the enemy has in mind the last position you were before you turned invisible. And most notably the Hydras, but also the Berserkers and other enemies will come to the point where they last saw you. This is why, if you are playing in a team with the Avenger, do not become invisible in the hack zone. Just, you know, jump a few meters away from the hack zone. Depending on where the enemy is, go, you know, towards the enemy, jump towards their position, and then you become invisible, and then you go back to the hacking zone. If you do otherwise, then the enemy is going to run around the last position where they saw you. And you don't want that. All these bosses enemies. Oh yeah, this is the moment when the Ascendant almost grabbed me. I mean, I was like a sitting duck, and I don't know what happened because I used stealth grid, and it saved my life. So for one instant, I was under the impression that the universe had something for me. After all, in spite of all the difficulties it put in my way during this playthrough. So this was the perfect moment to make the Hydra blind. I don't want it to kill me in my back. That can happen even if I did it at the end of the wave. Oh, I could not do it earlier. Here, funny instance of how the explosion, the post-mortem explosion of the Blaze Hydra killed the Ascendant Orb. As you can see, one shot is enough to kill it. Then you aim for the head and bye-bye. One shot. Thank you, damage bonuses. That's why a non-fitness build seems so viable on Platinum. And if you have few points to invest in bioelectric defenses, then do so. But really, the rest is so powerful. It makes this character almost OP'd, in my opinion. And this is a very Mass Effect Andromeda character. This is so unique to Mass Effect Andromeda. Like, I don't know, ED was for Mass Effect 3. Well, it's not ED herself, it's rather the ED model, the Alliance Infiltration Unit. Another OP'd character. But this character can be really useful if you just want to get to know Platinum a little. Of course, you have, it's also about skills. It's not only about, becoming invisible and killing the enemies little by little. There are a few reflexes, a few things that you must know about it. I tried to give you some elements, but I probably forgot many elements, like how to escape from Hydra missiles, or I don't know. I told you about Blood Rage. When berserkers enter Blood Rage, this is the perfect moment for headshots. Do that right away, especially if you have a damage bonus. You can kill addies in one shot as well, provided you are invisible. Yeah, this was another death, which was not legitimate. You saw me raging against my mouse. And this is, I don't know. Anyway. Whenever extraction time comes, be really careful of the Ascendant and the Blaze Hydra. The mix of the two, the fact that you have the two of them, well, the three of them on the field, they can kill you very easily. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I know this is just another Angara Avenger Platinum solo, but I tried to turn it into a guide so that people who want to use her to get to know Platinum can. Thank you. I exalt out. Bye.